catch your breath, darling, I've got you now. I'll cast a net that never lets you drown. I promise distance will only live in moments, and Earth's compass won't ever leave you hopeless. If you're ever feeling weak, they'll carry you straight back to me. You'll never be on this journey alone. They'll take you home.
All right, everybody. Hey, welcome in. It is Wednesday, hump day, even, as some might say. If you're one of the more refined individuals in our community, welcome in. Wednesday Star Trek Fleet Command stream, made to be a little bit more EU time friendly, US time friendly, if you're out maybe at your work lunch or whatever. And either way, hopefully you're here to have some fun and maybe get some questions answered. Hopefully y'all are having a fantastic day. I always enjoy getting to see y'all, so I'm glad that y'all are here. And we're going to kind of go over the survey results so far. Again, I haven't been able to sit down with like Archduke and our team and our volunteers, and appreciate our volunteers so much. Thank y'all. The fact that we have so many people who are passionate about this game that just want to see it succeed and want to find ways to make it better and just be an amazing community is so appreciated. So thank you to our volunteer team. If y'all ever are in our Discord, they have a special orange name. They do a lot of work. So if you're ever curious, like, hey, who's helping with these spreadsheets, or you know, who's doing a lot of the surveys and stuff, and helping with some of that behind the scenes thing, y'all go give them a thank you if you ever just want somebody to thank who's doing just awesome work. Anyway, we're going to go over all that. We'll even talk a little bit about this past month, what Voyager Part 2 could maybe look like, kind of theorize. I mean, we know who's in Voyager, right? Like, we know that Chakotay, Janeway, Seven Eye, etc. are characters, so we can kind of like postulate and guess about what that could look like. Curious as always, you know, we always tend to get a new feature. What could that be? But we're got a lot to discuss today, and we'll do that here together. Hope y'all are having a great time. Good to see some of our regulars out as well. So, Ryan, good to see you. See Bad Boy. Pokey's here, of course. Good to see you. Pokey's favorite word lately is Yeet Wagoner, so that's always fun. That's always fun. Oh my goodness. Yeet Wagoner. What a word. Brett, good to see you, Fenris. Sound jolly? I mean, Maybe it's the Santa Claus beard. It hasn't turned white yet, but maybe by Christmas I will have completed my transformation. Draco, good to see you, man. Always a pleasure. Admiral Pegasus. So to start with, is there anybody in chat who hasn't completed the survey? And if for any of our moderators who are here, once again, those are amazing volunteers. If y'all would keep this link handy and feel free to share it out. We are going to leave, Windrider, thank you for being here. We're going to leave the survey up until the end of the day. Typically what I do is I leave the end of arc survey up for around 48 hours and then try to close it out so that we can actually get to working on the information that's inside and passing that along to the overlords. So if you haven't done it yet, you do still have time to go ahead and do the survey. If y'all haven't filled it in, make sure you do it in quickly. You're even allowed to, not be at this entire live stream if you want to go do that, because it does help. And Fender says it was a great arc, and this might surprise some people. And one thing that I've learned, it's taught me a lot as a content creator. And by the way, what I'm about to say is not calling anybody out. And what I'm about to say is not to say that I don't appreciate these comments. But one thing that these surveys have taught me is, truthfully, when it comes to feedback, almost all vocal feedback is negative. But if you were to do polls like we're doing now, if you're to do surveys like we're doing now, what I end up learning is that there are a lot of people who might disagree who don't speak out. For whatever reason, happy people don't leave reviews. It just seems to be kind of like a random fact I'm learning. So again, all negative feedback is also welcome. You want both types. The whole point of this is to make sure that myself and other content creators aren't giving, bad advice. We don't want to be trying to lead the game in a way that y'all don't want it to go. So it's really important to do stuff like this, and that way Scopely can get an idea of what y'all want, and that way I can also get an idea of how to be useful. Wicked says very solid art, communication was bad. I agree. That's another piece of feedback I've gotten, and what I'm considering doing in future runs of the results is going over the survey, but not actually giving my opinion until the very end of the video. Because I really don't want to influence y'all. Like if y'all ever see something like, oh, Rev loves it, but I hate it. You don't have to love it. I do really, really want to reinforce that. Like if Rev loves or hates something, you're not obligated to feel the same way. I'm a content creator. I'm not God. Like I'm not the end all be all. So, I think maybe saving my opinions toward the end might help a little bit. Roland, thank you so much for doing the survey. Bad Boy says it was an okay arc, could have been better. For that, I would be curious what you think that could be done better. And I'm not saying that as I disagree with you, but it's always good, I think, to have these conversations. And even though we've had annoying things happen in the past year, I would argue that you would be really hard pressed to say that for the most part, Star Trek Fleet Command has not gotten better. Now, we can definitely complain about certain game design things. I'm still harping on power creep. Obviously, the STFC.space thing was really annoying, especially for us diehards who use those kind of tools. But generally, the game has been better, and that's a lot because of y'all's feedback. So it's always good to have these conversations. Dennis says I gave it a C, but left negative feedback on things I had issues with. And that's awesome. That's exactly what we're hoping for. Space Lord, thank you for doing the survey. Appreciate it. Wayne, and if y'all want to help out, just make sure that you share the survey out with your alliance and your Discord, because, we want everybody to have their voices heard. But Bad Boy says better communication on new feature would help. I agree. And look, I love being a content creator, and I love giving y'all the information. I do agree that I should not be the only source of info for certain things. Like, I'll just say that openly. Like, I really do love being the source y'all come to learn about the game and math. And like, if there's new features coming out, yeah, I'm definitely going to explain to y'all how those work. But at the end of the day, communication from the company making the stuff is where a lot of stuff should come. So we definitely want more of that. Rastru says I gave it a B. Love the events and features. This was a month that I really busted my personal butt to try to get a view of every bracket I could in terms of event payouts and, calendar fulfillment and everything. And I would like to argue this is one of the better months as a calendar. Personally, I think this was one of the better months as a calendar. I'm curious how everybody else tends to lay on that. Now, to give y'all a little bit of insight, just to give y'all some numbers, according to who has completed the survey so far, just to bring up the calendar as an example, 23% of the player base said it was an A calendar, and another 44% said it was a B calendar month. So a vast majority of players really felt that this calendar was an overall good and a step in the right direction. So hopefully we can encourage them to have more stuff like that, right? So that's, again, this is one of the reasons why I like these type of surveys, because then I can go to the Arc Runner and say, hey, here's what the community said about your month, good or bad, in terms of events and structuring, and maybe here's how you can improve it. Here's one massive piece of feedback I did get on the calendar: the Armada events. Now, keep in mind that this was a month where an Armada feature came out. So of course you're going to have Armada events built around it. But there were also kind of, I would call them issues with some of the Armada events where maybe there wasn't enough overlap. There were some Armadas that weren't counting that should have. And that's feedback that needs to go to improve things for the next time this Arc Runner has a run. David says, can you please help us get ISO leaderboards working? ISO leaderboards for what? What leaderboard are you talking about? What leaderboard are you talking about? Keep in mind, David, that my brain tends to be one track. So like right now I'm harping on the survey. I want to answer your question, but my brain's not connecting. In the alliance tracking? Oh, well, yeah, that's painful. Agreed. Yeah, well, we can continue to harp on those things, and I would call it like a background annoyance. Like we harp on it. It's not like the game breaking stuff, but it is something they definitely need to fix. And see, Belinda, I actually like the Armada events, but here's let me admit something real quick. I'm a little bit of bias when it comes to Armada events because I'm in an alliance that does really, really well with organization and alliance participation with Armadas. Like, our alliance puts a lot of effort into making sure that the Armada process works, goes smoothly, they're all defended, and we all there, and everybody completes their events, everybody participates. And not everybody has an alliance doing that. So because of that, I tend to view Armada events generally with a very positive light because they're a very good alliance event and alliance participation days for us. I also understand that's not the case for every player. And I can't expect it to be the case for every player either. Like, I can't expect every alliance in the game, number 1 and number 41, all having equal viability in alliances, right? In Armadas. And that makes it good feedback because if it is harder for somebody, then we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that, right? And see, Major says, I think you're in the huge minority. But here's the thing, Major. I don't think I am, based on things like this survey, if those results are to be believed. Let me give you an example of why. Now, again, I am not saying, and thank you, Jeff, so much for doing the survey, but I'm just giving you what players have said. For example, let's take the Formation Armada feature. Did you know 13% gave it an A, 38% have given it a B so far, and 30% a C. Only 7% of players gave the Formation Armada feature an F. Now, I'm not saying that to say you're wrong. What I am saying is that I don't think that my opinion in terms of how Armadas are working in general is in a vast minority. But that also doesn't mean I don't think things don't need correction. I do think that there were Armada events this month that did not scale as well as they could have, depending on how old your server was, what alliance you're in, what level you are. And there's definitely a lot of caveats to all this little pieces of information. But again, this is actually why we collect this data. And that way I can go in and say, okay, here's what's good, here's what's bad. And we break it down. This is also why if you look at the survey, one of the big things on the survey is I collect your level and your region. The reason I collect your level is because when we collect these responses, if I can find that, hey, very consistently, the level 30 through 34 players all just harped on how terrible the Armada events were, then we can nail down why it was bad, right? But if we find that everybody hates it, well, then that makes feedback easier. So anyway, I know I'm not trying to pat my own back. I'm really trying to be the best that I can be for y'all to be a conduit to the overlords, whether it is an Arc Runner, whether it is game design, whether it is a community manager, to make sure that I'm providing the feedback that encompasses as many people as possible while also breaking down specifics. Fenrir says, I'm from server 121, and out of curiosity, did Beam from Sith pay for the advert? Well, I guess this is going to kind of answer your question, Fenris. I don't know who Beam is. Now, do I know people in Sith? 100%. Yeah, and there are, and I'm not trying to hide this, there are multiple Sith players who have donated, like they've bought merch from the store and they've donated in live streams before. That's nothing to hide. But I honestly don't know who Beam is. So I'm going to just say no because I don't know who that is. But at the same time, I'm also not going to hide that, yeah, there's players from all over the galaxy, like different servers and alliances who donate to the channel and follow the content. And by the way, if anybody out there wants to do the same thing, y'all can do that too. If y'all want to buy some merch and say, hey, make a funny ad video for us, I'll do it. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Andy says, I like Formation Armadas for the most part, but I feel like the sourcing is too slow. And I 100% agree with that. One of my biggest pieces of feedback on the Formation Armadas was the 3-day timer is terrible. I hate the 3-day timer. That's stupid in the artifact building. And the Formation Armada drip is a pain in the booty. Like, I really, really hate that. So I really, really hate those two things. And I do want to be clear that all of that aside, even though I am saying that I think a lot of this was good this month, it wasn't perfect. There are definitely things I think are bad. One Armada a week is ridiculously slow. That is not a good drip. It's just not good. It really makes it difficult to enjoy something when you can never do it. Now, Draco says, I disagree due to the fact that artifacts are power creep. I do agree that artifacts are power creep. I'm not fighting that. I do think that two things can be true at the same time. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. Let me explain why I love the artifact building. And by the way, just to give you numbers, because we're giving numbers, Draco, and I know you're curious about numbers because you're a very intelligent man. Here are what the players said about the artifact gallery. 35% of players gave it an A grade. 40% gave it a B. So in total, 75% of the players who have done the survey so far gave Artifact Gallery an overwhelmingly positive response. I agree. As a guy who's obsessed with numbers in the game, power creep is bad. But I tell you why people love it. And I think they're the same as me on this. They love it because it's very, very Star Trek lore friendly. Like, I love that I can click into an artifact and it tells me the story about what this is in Star Trek. Like, I can actually go watch the freaking episode. That would probably be the only thing that could make this better is if they actually had the episode listed at the bottom. Like, oh, go watch Star Trek, the original series episode, or season 2, episode 3. I'm just pulling that out of a hat here. In terms of Star Trek, this is one of the most Star Trek things they've ever done. So I'll admit, I am really, really, really in love with the Artifact Gallery because of the Star Trek lore aspect of it. That's me. But I also agree power creep is bad. 100%. Not going to argue that. Never would. I've been preaching about that before any of the other content creators were, and I'm proud of that. Now, there are other content creators who are preaching against stuff that I'm not even talking about. And shout out to Ultimate DJ and Pegasus and Dabot and Stewie. And geez, there's so many of them, and that's a good thing that we have so many. But in terms of Star Trek, I love this so much. And that's just me personally, because it's Star Trek. So I think try modas, but would like the events to stop already so we can focus on specific sourcing. Well, that's the thing, Omar. Remember, Formation Armadas were this month's big mechanic, so you had a lot of events around them. You're not going to have as many Formation Armada events moving forward. What is power creep? So, David, the basics of power creep here, I'll actually read you the definition off the internet for you, just so you kind of have an idea of what it is. In gaming, power creep describes when new, more powerful characters, weapons, or other features are added to a game, subsequently making previously powered characters, weapons, and features worthless. So an example of power creep is when we continue to get these larger, bigger, better bonuses that invalidate the old ones and simply dilute the field. And an example of that is actually the artifact building. Look at the whole health bonus. Literally just a year ago, not even a year ago, we would have paid a lot of money to get a 200% bonus. I mean, a lot of money to get a 200% bonus. Now, it's like it's nothing. Strike Team is a great example of power creep. They completely overrode the meta of what PvP was when they were introduced to the game. And Scopely employees have come out and say, yeah, that it was too strong. Like, they've come out and said that after the fact. So when you look, that's power creep. There are ways to combat that, but I don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater is the cliche American phrase I would use. Like, I don't want to just dump the artifact gallery because of power creep, because I also love the idea of the artifact gallery. And, you know, truthfully, for players to want to participate, there does have to be a purpose, right? Like they can't just be there. Most players want to have an actual effect to something. So I get that as well. Game crashing becoming ridiculous. Dutch boss. Are you an iOS player by chance? That seems to be the ones that have it the most. The dummy out of the pram. See, I've never heard that, Wayne, but I'm going to believe that's like a UK phrase. And if it fits, let's use it. Kata says it'd be nice if there was a formation Armada event between 35 and 40. That would be the sweet spot power-wise for a mid-range alliance. See, that's good feedback, Kata. That's really good feedback. And that's something that I think that we can definitely take forward to them. I'll also say, in terms of game design for events, I'm not trying, please don't take what I'm about to say as I'm arguing that everything should be a heroic milestone. But I do think that we should have more events that worked how this past month's heroic milestone did. And what I mean is, if you look at most events now, you're going to have what, 4 milestones, maybe 5 to complete an event. What I think that would be really useful to all players is if we had, say, this same event that had 10 levels. And that way, mid-range alliances could complete it and get good rewards, and then the higher alliances could complete it and just get better rewards. I think that could be a potential feedback piece there. That way, everybody's getting something, but I think then you'd also run into the potential problem of, okay, well, what if people get mad that they can't complete the event, period? So definitely balances to be found there, but I do think that is good feedback. So Jazzy says the month flew by, which is a sign I enjoyed it. I wish they focused more on the true bugs. The game crashes so much on iOS, iPhone, it's almost unplayable. Jadzia, I can tell you that I've heard that for years, and like I empathize with it. I'm sorry, it sucks. I know that they have made updates to try to improve that, but truthfully, and I can't sit there and like try to take their side, because I've been honest, it feels like they really suck at times with iOS in terms of stability. That seems to be the platform that they struggle with the most. I don't know the reason for that, but historically seems to be the case. There have been times where they've done a good job of improving that. The only thing that I can tell y'all to do, and I know a lot of you get really frustrated with dealing with customer support. The reason I always tell people to make a ticket, though, is not because I believe customer support is going to fix your lag, because they're not. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and say that. They're not. And Scopely probably doesn't want me saying that, but they're not. But here's why it's important to submit the ticket. When you submit a ticket to customer support, what it does do is it records the device you're on. It records your operating system. So if you're on an iPhone 10 and the newest iOS, it records that to see what's happening. And that way they actually have tangible data. Okay, we know that we've gotten this many tickets that say this device and this OS is consistently crashing. I'm not going to lie to you and say, yeah, contact customer support and they've got you, because they don't. They can't fix the lag. But in terms of what we can do to try to help Scopely, because if you come to me, I'm going to ask you the same thing. I'm going to ask you what device you on, what operating system, etc. If you make a ticket, it automatically records that data. And I honest to God can't tell you why iOS seems to have more problems than anything. I'm not a game designer. I'm not familiar with iOS in that way, but I can tell you the courses and the paths that are available now to try to alleviate that problem, or at least give them the best ability to combat it. So, Jess says, I'm an IT manager. People hate when I say create a ticket. Yeah, it's the big thing about tickets is not, again, please don't take this as me saying that you as a player don't matter, because you definitely do. You 100% matter. But the thing with tickets is they're designed to collect a certain amount of information. And when you got to remember that you're not the only one suffering from this problem. So let's just say there's 2,000 people that have that issue. Well, if there's 2,000 people that have that issue, it's really tough to go to them individually and say, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? But if it's collected automatically and then that data is then put into a readable format, it's a lot easier for them to have that information. So we only matter for our money. Hey, crazy. This might sound crazy, but welcome to every video game in the world. Nobody makes video games for the fun of it, except for maybe small indie developers who have a few hundred followers. Yes, this is a game designed to make money. 100%. Manage a ticketing system is crucial. Yeah, for sure. When I used to work in IT, granted, I wasn't near the level of Scopely in terms of dealing with tickets and stuff, but I was an IT director over a company that had clients in 3 different states. And whether it was managing SQL databases or whether it was managing endpoint systems and even voice over IP phones, tickets were so important because of the information that honestly the average person didn't know. How many of you just memorize what iOS you're on, like the updated iOS? I'm not saying, oh, I'm on iOS 12, like specifically iOS 12 point blah, 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 blah. Most people don't, and I don't expect you to. So that's why tickets are so important. It's annoying, but I'm just encourage you, please make sure you're putting those in. And that's the only way that we can guarantee they're getting the information they need to try to address those problems. And I'm not defending the consistent struggles that iOS users have. I'm just giving you what is needed to try to make it better. So you're lucky if the user knows what an OS is, for sure. Now, I will say that in terms of Star Trek goes, I would like to think that our demographic and the players here in this game, men, women, etc., are all much more knowledgeable than the average gamer. I mean, you're Star Trek fans. But yeah. Well, Romy, thank you so much for signing up to support me month to month. I really appreciate it. If anybody else does want to donate and contribute to me and my family, it's greatly appreciated. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. You don't have to, but it definitely is appreciated. On Ananze says, I'm a lower level player in the field training glitch that stops you from completing skills and fix. Is there a fix coming? So, Ananzi, did you switch servers? Because the only people that I'm aware that still have that issue are people who switched servers, and for some reason that's really jacking up. And Draco, have you never seen the hats, man? You like the hats? Really jacking up field training. For the most part, though, it should be completable for everybody. But if you switch servers, that's really jacked up field training. And if that's happened to you, let me know, because it is something that I need to follow up with them on. You see hats, you buy hats. Draco, I've got a bunch of hats on there. I got a bunch of cool hats on there. Not a huge fan of the artifact gallery. It is a research tree that's random. Maybe the future will shed more light on, but right now I'm not excited about it. And that's fair, David. Again, put that in the form. Because like I said, so far, 75% of the people who have done the survey have given overwhelmingly positive reviews on the artifact gallery. If you have a view, whether you agree or disagree, put it in. Because that way we get a very well-rounded view. And if you dislike something, please make sure you say why you dislike something. Don't just say you dislike it. Say why you dislike it. Say why you dislike it. Check my email. You switch when you're in early level. Okay, so that's almost can guarantee that's what the issue is, Ananzi. So we need to dive deeper into that. Draco, I don't have an email from you. Did it go to spam for some reason? Yeah, I don't have an email from you, Draco. Just because I had my email pulled up. Meetings with Scopely earlier. Lucius says, built the Coronar day, feeling good about 46 with Pylum and Corey. I'm jealous. I still only have my Pylum, but I do love it. Oh, okay. Well, let me bring up the website. Because it will automatically do that. Like, it'll automatically show on Twitch, but not on YouTube. Oh, see? I almost want to go get the hat and put it on, but y'all know that I don't wear hats with a bent brim. Draco got the acid wash booty hunter dad hat. I actually have that. I think I have 2 hats in my entire ensemble that have bent brims and everything, and that's one of them. I love that hat. You'll take the gallery over more research that needs mats I don't have. Now, see, that is a positive in terms of positives of the artifact gallery. That is something that doesn't need to get brought up. You don't have to spend your uncommon materials and everything on this research, which is really, really nice. Really, really nice. I mean, in my opinion, like if I get 20 more mud shards, I just hit upgrade. All that it cost me was running formation armadas. So I love that as an aspect. Again, I agree power creep bad, but in terms of as a form, I do love the artifact gallery. We need that Latinum bribe even once a quarter, trying to max a Devore, ending up with a ton of raw Latinum OPC farming, and it needs to reward Devore parts. So Victor brings up an event. Again, this is also why feedback is so important. If you haven't done the survey, please do it. And not only do it, pass it along to your teammates. I'm going to be honest. Realistically, we're a little bit short in responses this month compared to what we've gotten in recent months. I really probably need another couple hundred people to finish it by the end of the day so that we kind of hit our minimum mark. This month, people have been a little bit more quiet, which might also be why it's so positive. I don't know. So if you're out there and you haven't done it, it helps out tremendously if you fill out the survey. And then, hey, if you have multiple accounts, because I know some of y'all do one for your level 46 account and do one for your level 23 account, because it could be two completely different gaming experiences. Will the surveys actually affect change? Yeah, Steven, they do. And we've seen that. Like, I'm not just saying that to toot my own horn. Now, am I saying that Scopely listens to everything we want as players and Scopely gets everything perfect? No. And if I ever say that, and it's okay, let me word this. Hopefully one day that's true. But if I come out tomorrow and say that, stop listening to what Rev says. I'm clearly have been replaced by a synth from Fallout 4. No, they don't take everything we say and immediately implement it. But we have, and we can track this over the past 12 months. We can show you feedback points brought up by y'all that have resulted in change pretty quickly. So yeah, it has. The artifact gallery is actually a good example. A lot of changes were made to the artifact gallery this month based on y'all's direct feedback. So again, if Rev ever says Scopely's perfect, they're doing everything great, stop. I've been replaced by an AI. But they do listen. They did a lot better by listening in the past year. And I give them credit for that. There's still things that I hold them over the coals for. You know, the STFC.space stuff, the artifact gallery when it first came out needed a lot of adjustment. I definitely want to call them out on that, but I also want to give credit where it's due. I don't want to just be a negative Nancy either. Will they ever bring, oh crap. The whole point of that was you brought up the Latinum event. That event had not been done for over a year. That event, if you like the, you're not an AI. Thank you. I'm not smart enough to be an AI. Maybe a VI. I'm a virtual intelligence. Virtually beautiful too. If you liked that Ferengi bribe event, that event was curated for the Ferengi arc over a year ago. And if you liked that event, like being able to blow your Latinum that you've been storing up and had tons of it, put it in the feedback. Because that event had not run for a year. And if players really like that, then we need to let Scopely know, hey, this event that y'all don't run very often was very popular with the players. You can add it to your future arcs. So, all right. Triax says, I did, but I'm going to postulate that participation is lower this month because surveys and communication response have been terrible from Scopely. They have had less communication in the past few months. And honest to God, I'm just be real with y'all. I can't always share things that happen in private meetings, but I actually had a conversation with the Overlord. Like I had 2 meetings this morning with Overlords, various people. And we brought that up. Like, hey, communication's got to get better to the forward facing. It's fallen off a little bit in the past couple of months. You know, we haven't had a state of the game. We haven't had as many, just daily posts from the Overlords letting us know what happened. So we brought that to their attention that they really need to work on that. So how's your day going? Look forward to your Twitch streams this weekend. Thank you. You'll be out late. I hope you have a great time, Monkey. How about something to reduce the experience cost of miners needing 1.5 million for a level 28 feature that does tiny damage? Seems ridiculous. Hey, not going to argue that. I agree. I'm going to give you 2 tips that can help you. 1, you can use Latinum if you want to. And 2, Eclipse Hostiles. Pretty easy to beat for a feature. Pay out decent amounts. Now, I know that doesn't fix your problem, but if you weren't aware of ways to try to expedite that problem, there's 2 ways you can try to speed that up a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to be insensitive to your issue. But those are 2 things that maybe you didn't know that can make that process a little bit easier. Eclipse Hostiles and then using Latinum. And even though like Latinum to faction credit is a pretty horrible conversion rate, it's not too horrible for ship XP. And then as Sean brings up, there are also exocomps that can give you more ship XP while you're grinding. So just some FYIs that maybe y'all didn't know, because it is my goal to try to help y'all be the best players y'all can be. Do you call them Overlords during your private meetings? I have many times. I mean, truthfully, I'm on name-to-name basis with a lot of the people, which is honestly it's an honor. It's pretty cool to have that level of access because in terms of Scopely, Marvel Strike Force guys don't really have that level of access. Do they still have the WWE game? They definitely didn't have that level of access. So it's pretty cool. But no, I'll say it this way. I am a polarizing figure. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I have no problem saying to them what I say to y'all. I don't know if that makes me a good content creator or a jerk sometimes, but if I say something to y'all like overlords, or I talk about, I think something was crap and they were really bad at it, I don't pull the punch. I just straight say it. I do think that I shouldn't be that way as much as I am. And I think that I'm always needing to improve myself, and I think we all are. But yeah, I'm not going to like sugarcoat it when I get in front of them. I just tell them my honest belief and opinion. So what are your thoughts on changing levels, being able to attack each other? 5 up, 5 down, so 50 can attack at 35. Steven, you're not going to like my answer, and I also know that I'm not in the majority in this answer. I don't believe there should be PvP brackets at all. I think it should be completely open-ended. I realize that people aren't going to like that answer. Before anybody accuses Rev of being a whale and I'm just trying to beat up on people, I want to remind y'all of where I rank on my server in power. 229. So just to be clear, Rev's not at the top just beating down on little people. Rev's one of the people getting beat. I personally, as a PvPer, don't think there should be brackets at all. That's just me. And I think that if you can't really do +5, down 5, because you would eliminate the traders and the Crators and the Jets from having enough people to actually have combat with. So I'm curious, as you worked a lot directly for them as a product or market research, do they compensate you in any way? In game, yes. And I'm very open about what Scopely will give. Usually, content creators who are part of the NDA content creation team will get a battle pass for one account, not for all of our accounts. Like I have right now, let me check my blue stacks. I currently have 5 accounts that I regularly log into. My main account will get a battle pass. If there is a ship coming out that month, usually we get the ship without having to buy it. So that can save me $100. And depending on how the officers roll out, I will usually get the rare officers. Sometimes I've gotten the epics, but that's usually the level of compensation an NDA content creator gets with Scopely. And it's to my knowledge, it's the same for all NDAs. So like if I'm bigger than this guy or that guy's bigger than me, it doesn't matter. We all get the exact same. So that's the compensation. In terms of like, do we get monthly cash? No, we don't get monthly cash. Do you expect Voyager to be a $100 ship purchase? I expect Voyager, like any other new ship, to come out. And by the way, I don't feel like that's hard to like guess. I think if you look at the Defiant coming out, DS9, Enterprise D coming out, it's pretty safe to assume the Voyager should come out. And if it does, yeah, I do think that it'll probably have a spin level to begin with. Yeah. It'd be surprising if it didn't. I'd be happy if it didn't, but I'd be surprised if it didn't. So my server is getting light player-wise. Many level 50s are getting bored and quitting. How long does it take for server merge to get some new blood? Richard, truthfully, and I'm not trying to avoid the question, there's not a set standard for that, which is something that Scopely needs to be better at. There's not a set standard. Like I can't just give you a time frame. So it just depends. I mean, sadly, there's not like, because there's this myth, and a couple of servers have tried this. There's this myth that like, if you just run off everybody, you force a merge. That's not the case. Like there are servers that have dropped below 100 active players and still didn't get merged for a long time. There's a lot that goes into a merger. So it's not just about like numbers dropping. There's other factors that go into it apparently, including what other servers at that age level are doing, because what they don't seem to be willing to do, and I understand this, they're not going to merge like my main server, server 20, that's been out 4.5 years, with a server that's been out 2.5 years. So there also has to be a partner to merge with. So let's see. I don't want to miss any questions. Appreciate y'all being here. Again, I know I'm going to say this a lot, so sorry. If y'all haven't already, please, please, please fill out the survey. It helps out a lot. It helps me out, and it helps Scopely. Last Scopely has let you get new stuff again for content after they cut you off a few years ago. Well, I'll just be real, Andrew. I cut myself off because I was willing, and this goes back to me saying whatever I believe is right to say at the time. Remember, I called them out on certain pack price practices that I strongly disagreed with. So I did that to myself. Like Scopely didn't do that. I did that to myself. But yeah, I mean, I'll work with them now. So let's see. Server 83 has had one merge and is back in super low population situation. I'll be honest, Forgotten, I don't know a lot of specifics about individual servers because they're well over 100 servers. So I generally don't know enough about specific ones to like really render an opinion. I can just kind of tell you the basics of how things work. Some servers I know, like if I play on a server, y'all don't know all the servers I play on, but I do play on several servers. I have an APAC server I still log into. I have an EU server. I have 3 US servers, and then I've had accounts all over the place before. So I can see some things depending on where I'm at, but generally, I don't have access to every server in the game. All right, just took Fisha to Eclipse Space and didn't go well. What kind of M score would you recommend for that to work? Fisha's not going to really matter with M score. You need to be running Pipe Road Chin though. I'm not sure where your Fisha's at level wise. My Fisha though that's Pipe Road Talon. Let's see this one. But my Fisha, which is a baby like tier 5, it's only 2 million power. I could definitely go hit the low level Eclipse hostiles with this, with Pipe Road Chin. Really comes down to the crew. You don't play on server 92 anymore? Michael, I logged into server 92 yesterday. But also, there's a lot of drama on 92 that I just didn't want to be a part of. Like, it wasn't any of my drama, but it was just a lot of drama. Level 30 took PMC, won 100 rounds and lost. Well, Robert, that's not a Fisha, then use the Devore. And the Devore is probably going to be too weak. If you're level 30, you don't have a Fisha, you have a Devore. And the Devore does not have a very strong weapon. So here's the Fisha. And then if I scroll all the way over, right here, here's the Devore. They look very similar. The Fisha is like the upgraded, newer version of a Devore. So this is generally not strong enough to just go grinding in Eclipse. Well, see, Adam, I'm also not trying to hit 39s with it either. Because I want to point out, the Fisha nor the Devore do not have a lot of DPR. Like, they do not create a ton of damage. They're very weak. So you'd have to hit lower level hostiles. Rather than a support ship or standard warship, would giving Voyager a rep bonus be a nice addition to the game as long as the bonus takes into account rep? Here's what I think the Voyager needs to compensate. If the Voyager is going to be a specialty ship, it has to have an ability that doesn't exist in the game, like it doesn't currently exist in the game, and it has to open up a new doorway that y'all have never had the ability to go into. That makes sense? Like, it can't just do like the Titan did. The Titan flopped. I love the Titan. Like, I think the Titan is absolutely gorgeous. I love that I have the Titan. Why are you trying to kill stuff with Latinum miners? Simple, Walter, so people can try to level them up without spending lat. You can also go kill separatist hostiles. I mean, there's several hostiles that give decent XP. I think it's beautiful. But the reason this didn't really take off is because it honestly is just Cerritos 2.0. Like, it's not special. It's gorgeous, but it's not special. It's a good ship. And honestly, as you tier it up, that max fortification is actually really good. But generally, there wasn't really this, like, we got to have it now, right? And I think if the Voyager is going to follow the same path that a lot of these ships are, like the Defiant and stuff like that, it has to have usability outside of just grinding a random hostile, right? Gotta have that. Gotta have that. The higher miners level, the faster miners. Correct. Most miners have a bonus built around their level. Sorry, I had to drink some tea. Thoughts on the Newton as a main ship? I've heard it's not as good as the others. Ready to invest a 4-star ship finally. I don't know why you would have heard that from people. The Newton is an extremely capable ship. The drawback to the Newton is the same drawback every battleship has. It's slow, and it takes ore, which is the primary resource you need to upgrade your base. Like, for example, for me to go to Ops 47, I need 17,000 ore. It's slow, and it takes a prime material. Well, using the word prime is wrong because it doesn't take a prime. But it takes a very costly material that you need for other spaces. But it's very strong. It has the best strike team in the game, battleship strike team. Because it's a battleship, battleships have more hull health, which means they usually last longer in PvE grinding. All of the 46 ships have fantastic ship abilities for hostile grinding. So let me bring up the Newton. That's an Intrepid. Looks very similar. Bring up the Newton. This hostile drop, I give it, keep in mind, 10% is level 1. It levels up as you tiered up. But this works for rep, which is why people love the 46s so much for grinding. This works for rep. All the 46s have got really, really good ship abilities as PvE grinders. And see, I've got a Pylum already. See, the Pylum is 10% here. I'll show you what my tier 6 Pylum is at. My tier 6 Pylum's bonus is 50%. And then again, that works for rep. So yeah, the Newton is a completely good boat. Do I prefer the Pylum or the Coronar? Personally, I do prefer the Pylum or the Coronar, but that doesn't make necessarily better. I think it's a preference. I think it's a preference. So I do prefer the Pylum's firing pattern. I prefer the Pylum's speed. That, and I want to be, I guess I'm a little bit of a contrarian because I think the Federation gets too much attention anyway, so I give all my attention to Klingon and Romulans. So there you go. There you go. It looks prettier. I will say that. Yeah, I agree. It looks prettier. The best looking Federation ships are the specialty ships. The Defiant, the Titan A. Those are the best looking Federation ships. Now, the Enterprise D is gorgeous. But, like, this is one of the best models in the game, in my opinion. The Neo Constitution class from Star Trek Picard Season 3 is one of the best looking models. I love how this thing looks. It is gorgeous. I love how my Defiant looks. The Intrepid is ugly as sin. I realize it's from the Kelvin movies. The Newton is ugly as sin. The Enterprise TOS skin is one of the most gorgeous skins in the game, but it's a skin, so it's specialty. It's specialty. But just out of the gate, the Pylum is, in my opinion, a beautiful ship. The Defiant, specialty, but beautiful. The Katinga is a beautiful ship. I love the D7s and everything from old school Trek. So, yeah, they don't even register as Federation ships. That's correct. The Titan, the Defiant, they do not get bonuses from your Federation research, if you did not know that. With the new primes that lower the crystal gas and for ship upgrades, will that take away from leaderboards? I mean, it doesn't take away from leaderboards, but it does mean that you have to do more, like more upgrades, more research to get the same amount of points because things cost less. In the grand scheme of things, if we're just talking about the math of the primes, I've made it very clear that I hate the design of the primes because they change the game, like they fix a problem that the game created, which is a ridiculously overpriced economy. And now you have to spend money to fix that economy. They don't have a free-to-play path at the moment. Hopefully they will at some point. And they also have invalidated a lot of recent purchases by spenders. So all that is true. But in terms of the math, it's very good for your game. A drawback is technically that your leaderboards become harder. But at the same time, you are becoming a much stronger player much faster. Like much faster. Thank you, Pokey, for reminding everybody to the survey link. I would still love 150 more people, minimum, 150 more responses to the survey. So if y'all could share with y'all's alliance, that would really help out. I do want to say thank you to the EU players. We have had 34% of our responses from the survey this month from the EU. That's the highest ever. UK, EU servers, thank y'all so much. Still would love more of y'all because y'all make up more of the player base than 33%. Y'all are about 35 to 40%. But appreciate y'all participating. It really helps out. And I don't want the game to be pure American. I mean, America's amazing, but y'all should have y'all's opinions heard as well. Do you feel the new primes make the 4-star miners more viable? I mean, yeah, they do. They honestly do. Dutch, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Especially because if your name is any indication, you're not American. If your name is any indication, you're not an American. So I appreciate you. Hey, Baba Yaga, how you doing? I feel like Ops 50 and below has the prettiest ships. 50 plus, I'd say Fed and Rom. You're wrong because you left out Klingon. And the Vorcha is arguably the most beautiful ship in the game, not counting how it looks in space because this game, for whatever reason, hasn't fixed the 5-star renders and it looks terrible in space. But Vorcha is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Why don't you put up a poll to see what people would like on a ship for an ability? Honest to God, because that wouldn't be a poll. And there'd be too many damn responses. That doesn't mean that we can't gather ideas. Idea gathering is good. But if I just made a blank poll and said, hey, you tell me what you want on a ship, we'd get thousands of varying answers all over the place. And that's a lot to work through, especially as a volunteer. So the Daenerys is the Daenerys is gorgeous. Look, I will make an argument that all 3 epic level 60 ships are gorgeous. All of them. They are all ridiculously beautiful ships. I love them. The Enterprise D, I think, is a gorgeously done model. The Rotaran is gorgeous, and the Daenerys is also gorgeous. All of them are gorgeous. All of them are absolutely stunning. Thank you so much, Time 1 of 11. Appreciate it. Rotaran is not. Well, I'm just going to disagree with you, Lightbull. The Rotaran is the original Burrell. And that's one of the most iconic ships for me. It's arguably the Burrell is the most iconic Klingon ship ever. You can argue the Katinga/D7 is, but that is arguably the most iconic. I mean, I truly think it is. The Burrell is the most iconic ship in Klingon history. I mean, it's the face of the undiscovered country. It's the face of the Klingons in Deep Space Nine, and even to an extent in The Next Generation. I mean, it's very important. I mean, it's the ship that destroyed the Enterprise D in Generations. What's with the low-res G5 skins? Super pixelated. Honest to God, they just did a bad job of implementing like lighting and rendering, and they've never gone back and fixed it. So that's the truthful answer. They just haven't gone back and fixed it. Thank you, Fabio. I really appreciate you. The crash destroyed the Enterprise D. Tell that to the engineering section of the Enterprise D, which got blown up. All right. Do the incursion changes mean servers are only defend or attack and not both? Now, correct, Paul. The current run, server on the defense, and it's a new form. And basically, the plan is kind of like to alternate every time incursion rolls around to change who's on attack, who's on defense. Is that going to be better or worse? Honest to God, I don't know. What tier would you take the Titan to? I'm taking the Titan all the way. The biggest reason to upgrade the Titan, I'm trying to look for ones that don't cost any uncommons at the moment. The biggest reason to upgrade the Titan is that you can get to max fortification. So you have fortification at the early levels. Mine has not gotten to max. Tier 3 and above unlocks the max fortification ability, which is a very nice ability. This one right here. Unlock this ability by acquiring the max fortification refit. Shards are available from the Titan Air Refinery in the support tab after the ship has been upgraded to tier 3. Max fortified ships receive all of the buffs that fortified ships do, including on top of that a 250% base damage and further bonuses based on more research. So it's an even stronger version of fortify, like a much stronger version. Yeah, max fornication. Yes, exactly what I said. Max fornication level. And as you get better, so does the Titan A. I don't really feel like there's a bottleneck personally why I won't go higher. And then you get more ships that you can, get better with this. Like, so if you're using this in a territory battle, which, believe it or not, my server still has active territory. And I know that doesn't speak for everybody in the chat. My server has active territory. So it's pretty damn cool to have for active territory. It also helps in solo armadas. Having all of those launch really, really helps out. So, does using max fortification lead to baby titans? If you remember your mythology, it leads to gods, right? Now, Rev deserves a lot of credit for that joke. That was a layup that I slam dunked. If you want to reward Rev for it and help me fix the AC in the pool, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. That was a good joke. That was a good ancient mythology joke. Respect it. Respect it. Good one. I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. Anyway, back to answering y'all's questions. Are there any plans to refresh and or expand territory? Steven, I don't know of any plans for that. Doesn't mean it's not possible, but I know of no plans for that. So, now Robert, just to clarify, there are no plans for incursions to just dump people onto a server. Like, it's not going to be forcibly joining. You're still going to initiate your invasion. But in terms of how the event scoring will work, If you are the invading server and you want to score, you need to go to the other server. And if you want to score as a defending server, you need to stay and defend. So, app dropout, lag is getting terrible. Sorry, Lonnie. We got no lag on my side. It's completely okay. So I'm not sure what's going on for you, but I'm sorry that you're experiencing lag. But it's completely fine on my side. I've got no issues, no drop frames, still streaming at 6 megabytes in HD. So I'm not sure why some of y'all are having an issue. It could be a YouTube thing. Here's a very noob question. Is there a way to source Federation credits outside of missions? Tons of ways, Mike. Tons of ways. I'm not sure why y'all getting lag because I've got none on my side. It could be a YouTube problem. Could be a YouTube problem. But you've got away team missions. You've got daily events. You've got dailies, you got daily events, you got these three, you got scout hunting, so turning in messages. I feel like I'm forgetting some right now. Technically, you can turn Latinum in for faction credits. There are several ways to get faction credits besides doing missions. Ford Refinery, thank you. I knew I was forgetting a big one. So there are a lot of ways to get them. Is the ship after Voyager Zeus then? Love it, Kelsey. Love it. Love it. All right, wait. I need to actually go do my dailies real quick. Zero lag in your way in California. Very nice. Make us all jealous of where you live. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Multiphasics. I didn't think about that, board job, but yeah, you actually can. If you're a spender, you can use the multiphasic store to get more credits if you have multiphasics. As you can see, I don't currently have multiphasics to buy anything. But I'm missing Prime Tactical Advantage from my store. I'm a regular spender and have all the other packs. Got nowhere with CC and escalating. What next? Monandi, hit me up directly and I can try to look into it for you. Obviously here on the YouTube, I can't really do much, but hit me up on either Discord or Facebook. If you haven't done, either one works. I'll say the Facebook, right now probably respond maybe a little bit faster because less people hit me up on Facebook. But either way, I'm happy to help out. Do either one of them. Multi-phase are best used for Syndicate. I agree, Draco. In fact, all of mine went into my Syndicate. But if we're just talking about how people can get something, I would be remiss to not say every potential option. Currently hard camping at 42 to get the research done, where the next camp be 46. Yes, that would be where I would recommend you go. Now you can kind of do it softly. ISO, real quick question, and I'm not trying to be in your business, just trying to give you the best advice. Are you a spender? Are you a spender? If you're a spender, I'll probably alter the advice a little bit depending on your level of spend. If you are not comfortable answering that privately or publicly, you can do it privately. If you are a medium spender, you should probably not hard camp at 42. If you're spending $100 a month, you're still a light spender, but if you're spending $100 a month, are you saying like 120, like a battle pass plus one pack, or like $20 a month and then the occasional $100 pack? But either way, you probably want to adopt a soft camp method. Like, yes, complete your research. Don't jump up before you've completed milestones. But one thing in the 40s to remember is every level packs improve. Whereas in the 30s, in the 20s, they improve every 2 levels. But in the 40s, literally the very next level can significantly increase the amount that you're getting in your purchases. So just something to keep in mind. Now, what server you're on can determine, or change maybe the amount that you're getting. All these things are factors, but just something to think about, and how you plan your purchases that might affect it. And if you want to get the best bang for your buck and you're planning on getting a certain purchase at a certain time, what I tell medium to light spenders is, maybe think about going 42, then 44, then 46, and just trying to hit those packs along the way to get better battle pass returns, better, primes if you want to buy them for all the extras, better treasuries. Depends on, what you're willing to do. Just some knowledge I think you need to have, and maybe helps you make decisions. Hellbot says, as a battle pass warrior, I slow walked from 42 to 46 and only finished that run when I was ready to build the rare 42s. There you go. There you go. What's considered medium spending? So I guess I would call medium spending a dolphin. And y'all might think this is crazy, but anywhere a little bit below, a little bit above 5,000 a month, like anywhere, not a month, I'm sorry, a year. So I would call a medium spender anywhere from the range of 1 to 10,000 a year. That's a medium spender, just varying degrees. That's a medium spender. Because if you spend 10,000 a year, you're still not even sniffing the VIP room, which is a high spender. A light spender is someone who spends a few $100, a $20 battle pass, maybe get the $20 battle pass, which is, $240 a year if they got it every month. And then they bought a couple of other packs along the way. Maybe they spent $400 or $500. That's a light spender. What's the VIP room? The VIP room is where the heaviest spenders have access to their own community managers and basically kind of like their own customer support path. It's like the VIP area of a casino. They don't get like free crap in the game, but they get extra support and stuff like that. So, may have asked you this before, but are the Nova refits worth getting? It boosts ore, gas, crystal dependent by 250%. I'm kind of hit or miss on that one, Monkey. They do have value. How much value really kind of depends on you, I guess. Because the bonuses are nice. Keep in mind that you have officers that kind of do that already. And how much competition do you really have? For example, so if we're talking Novas. If we're talking Novas, then you're probably mining in what? Warp 285, right? How many people do you have mining in Warp 285 that are hitting you or bugging you because you're taking too long on a node? Probably not that many. You probably have the ability to just kind of let it sit there for 8 hours, go OPC, and come home. So do you really need them? Not unless you just feel like you want to get it done faster. But I don't think a Nova needs those skins. But they do have an application that actually has a use in the game. So, all right, let me make sure I answer your question. Corey says, what should be completed at 44 before moving to 46? Just minimum needs to upgrade ops. Hellbot has a good answer. It says, I use Spock's Club. Make sure you get every efficiency bonus. If you've not heard of the tool, there's a tool made by June Bree. We made a video about it several months ago called Spox.club that allows you to input your account's information and then see what it'll cost to go to each level. Also lets you know kind of like what efficiencies are going to open up, what researches. Those tools really, really help out. But again, the basics are anything that has a $sign on it. Now, I'm not, when I say a $sign, I'm not talking about buying packs. If you look at your researches, anything that's an efficiency research in the game has the $sign on it. And that is representing that it's an efficiency research. An example of an efficiency research would be efficient ship upgrades in the territory tree. See the little $sign? Any of those researches that become available to me are priorities. You want to get those ASAP Rocky. But those are like priorities for me. I mean, outlaw tree, getting that done. Territory tree, there's galaxy tree ones, there's combat tree ones, station tree ones. Those are like a hard focus. X-Borg has got a ton of great ones in it. Yeah. Have we confirmed 53 plus freebooters drop Novas? Yeah. Yeah, we have. Is it good I get 2 Novas? Space Lord, most high-level players I know have got 3 or more Novas. Like there's an account that I use regularly. Like they let me use it or they let me see it so they can kind of get an idea of life in the 50s. And that account has 3 Novas and they're like constantly just mining stuff. So I do recommend getting multiple Novas. There's a reason that in my video yesterday when I was talking about the Horizons and Hydras and stuff, I didn't mention Novas because once you get to like Nova, just unlocking the Nova is so game changing in a positive way. You don't need any other miners but Novas. So just a quick FYI, if you're planning in the future, multiple Novas, even at tier 2, are the only miner you'll need. And if you're doing like a Nova at tier 1 or tier 2, you're not spending any uncommon. Just literally unlocking the Nova starts if you've done your research at Warp 285. So you're getting some of the deepest nodes in the game, 5-star nodes and everything. You can mine anything relatively quickly, and they're so beefy and strong. I mean, Novas come out of the dock with terrible research at 20 million power. Like, if you have just forgotten about all your research, they're still sitting at 20, 25 million power. So just their mere existence. Archangel, you coming to pop me? No, you're coming to grind. You shouldn't be using PMC, but yeah. Just their mere existence means that they're great and you're going to want multiple. So yeah, I would get multiple Novas. Long-winded answers. I'm becoming so much like my friend DJ. Long-winded answers. Yes, multiple Novas are great. They're really good for your game. They're really good for your game. As someone who doesn't spend much on the game, is the prime for refined charged nanoprobes worth it? That is a good prime. Yes. Good prime. Gonna keep grinding? Yes, Space Lord. Now remember that you can get the Nova from all 3 factions. You can also get the Nova from grinding in very, very deep space, which isn't super realistic until you have like a 5-star uncommon. And you can also hit 53 plus freebooters, but the drop rate for those freebooters to drop a Nova BP is like around 1%. It ain't exactly amazing. You'd be killing a butt ton of them. But just giving you all the information you need to be successful. In terms of number of BPs a Nova needs, just so I can remind myself, it needs 150 BPs. So, quick math. That's what, 15,000 boxes? Yeah, you need to kill roughly, or you need to obtain roughly, just quick math, 15,000 boxes to guarantee you ground out a Nova just hitting like hostiles. So, and drop rate has not been kind to me. I've gotten 1 box and 7 freebooters. So I'm not trying to argue that this is like a viable go out and just grind freebooters. I'm simply letting y'all know that as you're doing your dailies, there is a chance. So if you can punch up to 50, the 53 pluses and complete your dailies, maybe do that. Because if it gives you an extra BP, well, that's quicker, right? More is better. Rev's favorite phrase this month is more is better. So Hellbot says in the past year, the Prime Nano charge is the only $100 pack they've bought, and they don't regret it. Tier 6 tally, and you get 4-star rares shipped months faster. Here you go. Here you go. Have BPs for 1 Nova plus my Corvus in your push-up fort. Nice, board job. Good job. How many faction credits per Nova print? I'm sure we're going to have somebody out there answer it faster than me, but let me go to the site and answer because I don't remember off the top of my head. Well, let me see. Did somebody in chat get it already? 3K? Yep, bam. There you go. So 3,000 per. So you need, what, 150 times 3,000 means you need 450,000 total faction credits to get a Nova. Keep in mind that you can split that. If you've done the rep, you can split that amongst 3 different factions or 2 different factions. So like if you dual grind your factions up, that means that you would need 225,000 faction credits per faction and just do it that way. I mean, so however you want to face it. 1.1 billion rep, Kevin. 1.1 billion. So you hit, this is one of the reasons I talked about when I said my camping at 49 video, you want to be at least rep 1 billion before going above 50. You need to get to 1.1 billion to get the Nova and start doing that grind. See, y'all are surprised. Y'all didn't know Rev knows all this about 5-star, did you? Y'all just thought Rev's just this dumb 4-star player. He don't know nothing. I have a lot of awesome people who help me make sure I know all the 5-stars. So, glad you tri-locked 1 billion. I'm glad you tri-locked 1 billion too. And just as Callum points out, Rev is a secret well with an Op 60 alt. Maybe. Not Op 60. I should let you drive my account for a day. Draco. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. But we should probably not because, Scopely. You know how Scopely can be with whole account sharing thing. You know, it's against TOS, so we should never bring that up or recommend it. Not something we should do, my friend. Rev is beta testing G6. Oh, you got me. Nailed me. I'm not. I wish. I honestly wish. I really do wish that I could be part of like any type of G6 talk to try to give my influence and direct it in what I believe is a good direction. So, do you struggle keeping your dailies in the 4-star after one build locked? Keep going over without realizing that. Solution, there is a little bit of a balance to be had. But generally, if you keep your dual factions pretty even, you can keep them pretty even. One way to do that is if you're just doing your amalgam once a month and you're picking up the rep exo comps right here. Wait, right here. These rep exo comps can really help to make sure that you maintain that equality between your two main as you're dueling. Because a lot of people will duel to 1 and then they'll duel to 15. These can help make sure that that second faction keeps up with the first faction. Where can you grind Kelvin BPs and Valdor BPs? Any level 49 and up hostile for that faction, Jack. So if you were like a lower level player, like in the 30, like if you're level 39 and you want to start working towards a Kelvin, you want to grind in Sol, where Earth is. Level 49 plus hostiles, which equates to warp 160 plus. Let me scroll out real quick. So 49s would be here. Yeah. So the lowest deep space would be this one, 49s, or grinding regular transports and heavies in Sol. Right here. Which seems like a lot of people are grinding in here right now. Oh, we do have the Cerritos event today, so that makes sense. That makes sense. I think I'm really hoping they decrease the BP cost of G4 Epics soon, like they did with G3 Epics years ago. They've never decreased the cost of G3 Epics that I remember, Andrew. You've got Katinga BPs from Warp 150. Hey, I definitely want to see that. If I've personally only confirmed Warp 160 plus. Warp 150 would be... Where would Warp 150 be? Okay. Avafall does exist. So Warp 150. But I've never confirmed a collection of a blueprint from a 46 or a 47 or 48. Only 49 plus. Now, I'm very happy to test this and adjust it, but I've never gotten a confirmation, like a dead on. Wait, hold on. I'm thinking about rares. Rares are locked to 49s. The uncommons might be a little bit earlier. Like the Pylum Newton and Coronar are locked to 49, but it might be 46s for the uncommons. You're right. But the rares are definitely warp 160 / level 49s. Those are, you're not going to get the rares to drop. Like I've never, and if y'all remember, I ground out in Eureka a lot. Never had a rare drop here. So you're right. It might be 46 plus for the uncommons, which does give you a little bit better options. And you're going down to like warp 135, warp 120, a lot easier to reach. But realistically, though, you're not able to get to those warp ranges until you kind of have a 4-star ship anyway. So, simple answer, Sol, Kronos, Romulus. There's your answer. There's the simple answer. There's the simple answer. Uncommons are even slower at 46. Yeah, I mean, there is a scaling. There is a scaling of drop rate when it comes to hostile level. But anyway, thank y'all. That's what I get for thinking. Because my brain was just stuck on rares. And obviously for those that are unsure, one of my personal goals this month has been, I really want to personally free to play grind a Kelvin and a Hydra. Like that's just a goal I've set for myself. Does it matter in the long term? Not really, but I just want to do it because it's freaking cool. So I've actually been working on that, and I have ground out 95 out of 150 Kelvin BPs completely for free almost all this month. And I have ground out 98 of 150 Hydra almost completely all this month. So, Brad, hope you have a fantastic time at work. Thanks for being here. Just a quick reminder to everybody, please, if you haven't already, I need more people to complete the survey so we can get y'all's opinions. Just want to make sure everybody's represented. So if y'all would be so kind, please make sure you fill that out. Refinery is totally based on ops. Sure, pseudo. Oh, wait, refinery is. We're not talking about refinery. We're talking about hostile drops for BPs. What are you talking about? Are you talking about something else, pseudo? Because I don't want to confuse two different things. Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate you. Anybody know if there's any changes to the loot table when you upgrade the refinery building? Oh, well, there's where pseudo's answer was. There's where pseudo's answer was. Right there. Bam. All right there. Sorry, pseudo. I'm trying to keep up with chat. It's really important for me as a content creator to answer every question I can. I really do try to get to everybody. So, a free-to-play grind out of Kelvin and a Katinga. No rest for the wicked. Love it, Space Lord. I love that. Like, even if you're a spender or a free-to-play, there's definitely a rewarding factor for some level of grind that you did for something. It really is a lot of fun. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I really want to just grind out these ships because I love collecting them. And honestly, I'll use the Hydra. I will. Rev's trying to be his own donut. Rev's trying to be his own donut. All right. Basically, for now, I'm just going to keep collecting the free 4-star minor BPs from hunting and see if I can get close to a free one. I think I have 30 for the Bok Chor. I am averaging between 5 and 10 a day when I go out and get... If I do 200 boxes, I can almost guarantee I'm going to get a minimum of 6 or 7 BPs for each uncommon, and usually 5 at least for the rare. How do I get out of the negative with one of my factions if I'm a level 22? The GPX, honest to God, one of them is going to be negative. So you can dual grind 2 of them and keep them positive, but until you hit the first reputation lock, you're just going to have one that stays negative. The good news is you can always recover that later down the road. But once you get to 10 million, that is the first reputation lock. So once rep gets to 10 million, it can't get any lower. So if you are, say, like I am, Romulan Klingon, get these 2 to 10, and then that one that's negative 2 million, you can then manually go grind it out and get it to 10, and then you can go back to dual grinding the other 2. So that's the best way to dig out the hole. Just do it 2 at a time, get to your lock, or even 1 at a time, get to your lock, and then go back and fix the others. Jack, I'm glad that you enjoy the content. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Rev, love your channel. A complete free to play. Is it possible to max my Vidar and skip the 26s and 28s, or should I just go for the 28? Yes, you can do that. I would say, and I've said this before, I still recommend you build the 26s. Just don't invest in them. The reason why, I'll show you why in just a second. Let me collect my dailies. I would still recommend you build either the D3 or the Legionary, keep it at tier 1, and then you want to unlock its cloaking. Let me show you why. Because you're a pure free-to-play player. So you're trying to get the most value, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, the most value out of every single thing you can in the game. So with that in mind, let me show you why you want to start working on that cloaking daily ASAP Rocky. So come into my research tree with me real quick and go into the galaxy and then look at these cloaking researches. You want to start working on these at level 26. Look at multi-spectrum shielding. Increases base shield health for all ships. Maxes out at 200%. Ablative hull armor. 175% boost to your hull health for all ships. This is a free to play. So if you can start getting these 2 done, like start on them at level 26, with a tier 1 D3 and a tier 1 Legionary can do that. Just building those so that you can start collecting that daily is super helpful to you as a free-to-play. Now, everybody can take advantage of that. Spender, whale, whatever. But if you're a free-to-play, you really want to try to make sure you take advantage of every little thing you can to, be as strong as you can be. And if you do that cloaking daily, you'll get these 2 cloaking dailies every day. You just need to do the little one. Do the little one every day. Just keep doing the little one every day. Just go out there, cloak, bang 1 hot, because it is not level required. That's why I'm saying you can be just a level 1, level 26, D3. You can kill any hostile. When I was doing this, I was killing a level 1 hostile with a D3. Done. Just one-time cloak kill. And I was able to get those, and it really helped me get all my ships better. Like my regular grind ships got better. My Armada ships got better. So it helps out. Your rep is slack, you need to grind more. Hey, I've been doing so good, monkey. Like, realistic, come on, be honest. What was my rep at just a month ago? Just a month ago, monkey, remember, just a month ago, the Romulan was half this. Aaron, I'm glad you're enjoying the content. What's that stealth research? So it's in the galaxy tree. If you go, it's about halfway down the galaxy tree. And this is just why the cloaking dailies are so important. So you get past enhanced warp cores. It's right here. Starts with stealth technology. And then that opens up multi-spectrum shielding and a blade of hull armor. And these will apply to every ship that you have. You also have Prime Racketeer, but that's something different. Don't worry about that really. But multi-spectrum shielding, blade of hull armor, and these are like early ones. You've got more that you can do. Like for example, for first Armadas, which I should probably do that because I do use cloak versus Armadas and stuff. But these are the most important ones, and they're at the very beginning, which is really awesome. It's great that they're at the very beginning. So, how do you get the Tetrion? So, Dan, the Tetrion is part of a daily drip. Once you've got cloaking and everything, it's part of your ship resources, and you can, as a free-to-play, hold 200, I think, and you just go in and claim it every day. Now, if you have 200, you can't claim anymore, but you get it every day as part of a daily drip in your gift chest. So, it's like, what's our time at? We've got like 5 or 6 minutes left, or I got to get back into another thing. So let me gives me. Hold on, janitor. All right. Let's see. Like the stream. Thank you, Looney. I appreciate it. I do try to give y'all as much information as possible. I really try to answer everybody. This community means a lot to me. I mean, for those who are maybe new here, this community has helped me get a house for my family. This community has helped with some insane bills. Like, this community has been very supportive of me. So in return, I am very loyal to this community. I truly care about this community. I mean, you can ask anybody that's like people who have bought. Not even people who've purchased, people who have won free stuff off my merch store get personalized thank yous. Y'all all really matter to me. And I know y'all probably hear other content creators say it, and so maybe it sounds cliche, but I mean it, man. Like, y'all are really important to me. So I really do want to give y'all anything I can do to help y'all be better players in this game, Diablo, War Thunder, whatever we play. Y'all are awesome. I really appreciate y'all. When's the latest you can get the ISS Jelly? I don't think there is a timer on it. I mean, it might not show up very often in like 50 plus stuff, but like the leaderboard event that comes out for it, you can still get that in the 40s. I've gone Fed, so I won't get cloaking until I get a Romulan or Klingon. Right, correct, Digital Dan. The first and really only Federation ship that has cloaking is the Enterprise. There are a couple other ships out there, but there aren't many Federation ships that have cloaking. This is also, and Dan, please, I'm not calling you out. It's also one of the reasons that I preach dual faction grinding so much. That way, if there is a drawback to one, you cover it with the other faction. So like if you are a level 26 player, I always try to recommend that they are grinding 2 factions at once. That way, if the officers may be bad in this one, well, we got good officers over here. If this one has cloaking and the other one doesn't, we're covered. You know, so I do try to point people in those directions. That way they don't feel like they're missing out on something. You know, obviously that means that it can be a little bit more grind, but we also acknowledge that if we want to be free to play players, like we don't want to spend money, and all but one of my accounts are free to play, you're going to have to work harder than a spender. That's just it's an accepted thing. So when we work harder, we want to also make sure that we're being efficient when we're working harder. So dual faction grinding is a great way for you as a free to play to keep up with those spenders. You do have to work a little bit harder, but you're also, if you pay attention to this, advice and, really plan out your path, you're able to complete a lot of good stuff and keep going. Because I promise you, there are a lot of people who spend on this game who don't go for advice, and they're skipping a lot of the things that you're focusing on. You would be surprised. I mean, players I run into in the 30s and 40s who have not done that cloaking research just because they never really knew it existed, but they've bought primes. Like they bought the new prime hull that just came out. Chat, when did that prime hull come out? like 3 months ago, they bought that. But hell, you can get that same type of research for free starting at level 26. So free to play is going to have a much harder job in this game than a spinner. That's just a fact. But with planning and, trying and just doing extra effort, you can definitely, fight back, so to speak. So would you build 2 Ops 46 ships? I am planning on building 2 Ops 46 ships, Joseph. I am. Ops 30 just locked with Fed and ROM. Should I focus on faction survey ships or the Augur/Enterprise? My personal recommendation, Dennis, would be one of each to start with. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't eventually get both, but I do believe that picking up one faction miner can be very valuable. Now, how much you invest in that faction miner right now, maybe you don't need to invest in it a ton. Like, I think that a 3-star faction miner is more important in the late 30s and 40s than it is the early 30s, but it is still good to pick up. Keep in mind that depending on how much you grind, you're going to end up with a ton of them. What I mean by a ton, well, I can build 3 more Interiors right now just from me when I do my hostile grinding, and I've built 4 of them already, I think. So the Horizon, there's a reason I made that Horizon video for some of you lower level players. The Horizon is still a very valuable and cheap ship to use until you hit its limiting wall of warp range, which is where a lot of these, like the Cavort and Terry's Valkyries, come in and are very valuable. But you really don't need to super upgrade these until the late 30s or 40s. And thankfully, the game economy pays out more uncommons in the later 30s than the early 30s. So again, as you're scaling through your planning, you can find a lot of value. I do think picking one up is fine, but if you alternate, like say we get the Cavort, then we save our Federation ones for the Enterprise, or vice versa, right? Now, ultimately, I think it's great for free-to-play and spinners to get multiple ships, so like to have the Augur and the Enterprise. But if you're going to plan, I'd pick up one of each. Pick up one of each. You have 2 tier 7 46 ships, and it is so amazing for solos. See, Sandra, I've got 1 at tier 6, waiting to work on getting the other one, and I can only imagine. Can only imagine. Yes, sounds great. Sorry, just reading something from the janitors from our meetings today. So I'm not trying to get distracted, but I'm also trying to get a lot done behind the scenes. And it's not like a brag thing. It's just when I kind of like stare off into the abyss, I want y'all to know why I'm staring off into the abyss. I'm probably reading a message from somebody. So, yeah. Anyway. Let's see. Free run on the Cavort and Burrell. That's awesome. You need to add some independent ships and miners to G4 and G5 like we have in G3. I agree, Admiral Pegasus. I don't know if or when they'll actually do that, but I do agree with you. Field training is still jacked up. Yes, I moved servers. Noted, Edward. All I can say is make a ticket, and I can try to keep bringing it up to them that if you've moved servers, that is still a persistent problem, and I can try to bring that up. I can't upgrade my second fee ship past tier 4 because I'm missing a warp core. Is that a ticket? That's not a ticket, Sam. The only way to get that extra warp core is an event store. So the next event store that rolls around, that warp core will be available in that event store. Long-term, better sourcing needs to be provided for multiple fiches. You'll ask them to allow us to scrap the Vidar or Botany Bay. Honestly, Chris, I don't think there's any plans to do that. And a lot of people complained about the scrapping mechanic in terms of like scrapping a Franklin to become a Franklin A, hence why you have the Talios through missions. So I don't think there's any plans to make a scrapping mechanic for the Vidar. I know you want those, probes to invest into the new one, but let me just be honest with you. You're not going to get enough probes to really take that Talios very far anyway if you could scrap the Vidar. Free to play Ops 34, 1 week from Ops 35. What research should I focus on? Anything that has a money icon, which is an efficiency research. I mean, it's a ton of research. So, I mean, that's really hard to just answer, because I don't know where your entire account's at. But efficiency researchers are always going to be the first thing that I really point out and say, hey, do this. This is important. Efficiency researchers, efficiency researchers, efficiency researchers. You have 2 Vidars that take up dock space. Put other ships in the dock. Now you don't see Vidar. I mean, I get it, Chris. I have 2 Vidars that I never use anymore, but that's also just kind of like the game aging itself out. I get you, but yeah. Look, guys, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to stream again later tonight. If y'all are around, come join us on the Twitch side of things. Last reminder, in today's the early stream, please go fill out the survey if you haven't already. The reason I'm able to give y'all the answers and the reason I'm able to give y'all advice and stuff is because y'all help me have a voice with Scopely. So please help with that with the surveys, because they do make an impact. Maybe not the impact we want them to make all the time. Like, not everything is fixed, not everything is changed. They do listen, and it is appreciated. So thank y'all. I'm sorry I haven't answered every question. I do really try, but I love y'all. Live long and prosper. Stay safe out there. If you haven't already, join the Discord, join the Facebook, contact me. I will gladly hit you up one-on-one. And if you do want to support the channel, the smallest PayPal, I don't care if it's $1, I'll appreciate you to the world and back. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App really helps out. Love y'all. Who dat? God bless. That's my football outro. Don't know why I yelled it. Anyway, I'm going to leave now to go get some more work done. See y'all later.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.